from Arkansas's #1 trusted source for weather. This is a new podcast episode alert.
Well, welcome to yet another podcast episode. Myself, Cameron,
and Derek once again. So we've talked about several different things, throughout the course of the past few episodes. We've talked about our chase experiences. We've talked about really the forecasting headaches when it's come to severe weather. We've talked about the events like the major snow events, stuff like that.
Definitely.
But we're coming up on a season that everybody in this state loves. We're fall. You have hoodies, you got bonfires, you got hot stuff. You got plenty of food to go around. But
a lot of holidays and
everything.
Yeah.
But if you want to be technical, in Arkansas, there's one holiday everybody looks forward to, and that's kickoff. We're talking football in the state of Arkansas. We're talking anything from high school all the way up to the college level, from Fayetteville to Jonesboro, down to Monticello, Magnolia, and Pine Bluff, even in Conway. Football in this state is like a ritual, basically. One thing that is not talked about a lot when we talk about the different aspects of football, because you have the pre-planning, you have the tailgating, you have, kickoff, you have interferences that weather could bring throughout the games, be it high school or college level. And, with this podcast, it's something different. It's going to be kind of more fun, relaxed type thing. We're going to be talking about, the headaches of forecasting, how Arkansas weather and its unnatural state of affairs affects, football across the state.
Definitely.
And, then, of course, obviously, towards the end, we're going to give our predictions for both A-State, UCA, Arkansas, of course, and then, of course, our upper echelon 7A and 6A when we're talking about high school as well. Because I know we have a lot of people, who do listen from the upper tier 7A and 6A across the state as well. But it's going to be fun because let's say fall weather in Arkansas is about as unnatural as it can get.
Yep. That is the truth. And you deal with a lot of stuff, especially you get towards that September or October time frame. Some falls are different from others. You can have cold fronts coming in. You can have heat waves. You can have a tropical system coming in at some point. So, I think this fall, given that we are in an El Nino pattern, and for those that want to know what that is, we'll have a separate class on our Patreon going over that by the time we get towards the inner part of the week. So I'm thinking this fall will be I'm thinking we'll probably start off pretty warm for most parts, and then we'll start to make that drastic cool off. And I think that's going to have a lot of impacts, especially for our home games. I know in September, we have the majority of our games at home. October, we have just one, and that's Mississippi State. And then that's it. We're on a roll for that 4-game stretch, which we're going to go over here in just a little bit. But I think by the time we come back in November, temperatures are going to be a lot colder. You're going to have a lot of cold fronts interacting and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting and pretty much a pretty active fall coming up. And it's going to have a lot of impacts for our football, especially for our home games, stuff like that. Not only for our home games, for our away games as well. You're talking Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, those areas. There's going to be a lot of active weather going on as we get into the fall.
Because Cameron, football affects across really every aspect. Weather affects every aspect because if you have storms, within a certain area, then you have lightning delays. We have a lot of flooding in the fall. So then you run into issues with field, both especially at the high school level, but then some even at the college level. But also, forecasting from a forecasting standpoint, it can be a headache because August into September, not really, because you're typically still dealing with a late summer pattern where it's kind of hot. You may have a few isolated storms here and there. You may be worried more about the heat index values and heat illness issues than where you get to October and November.
Yeah.
But especially, for our high schools, you're talking 7 o'clock on a Friday night. Then you talk about places like Fayetteville and Jonesboro, have a different climate that day compared to, say, Magnolia or Pine Bluff, because you have cold fronts that come through where it could be 85 in South Arkansas and be 55 in North Arkansas.
Yeah.
You could have a squall line coming through. You could have rain all day. From a forecasting standpoint, how does that really affect because when we do our football forecast, we talk about a tailgate from kickoff all the way to the end of the game. And if you have an active weather pattern coming in, which El Nino seasons tend to bring,
yes.
Forecasting wise, how does that really affect?
So forecasting wise, especially because you have to plan for a couple of things. You got people, not only for us here in Arkansas, but if you have a home game, for example, when you've got Western Carolina, we have BYU, if you got people coming in, it affects those people too. It can affect flights, it can affect travel plans and stuff like that. So you have to account for that. And then also what's going on during the game, during the day itself. It can affect a lot of tailgate parties. It can affect and we saw this last year with the Arkansas LSU game. I mean, it was a very, very cold game for that one. And I know a lot of players were, there was a lot of controversy about, how cold the temperatures was and how it's affecting, KJ Jefferson KJ wasn't playing. It was, who was it at the time? Hornsby. Yep. Hornsby, his throwing ability, it affected the kicking team and stuff like that. So, it has a big effect on not only just the people that are coming in and having parties and stuff before the games. It affects the players. It affects how they do. And also, we had a couple of issues, at the beginning of the season last year where we had a few players getting sick because of how hot it was. It was really, really hot. We came off a very hot summer back in 2022 where we had heat index problems at the beginning of the season and everything like that. So it has a big issue for not only just the players, but also the people that are coming in and traveling and stuff like that. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the fall.
From us, from our standpoint, forecasting wise,
you got to be accurate. You have to be accurate. You've got to be, no one's going to be 100% accurate, but you've got to get to that point as much as possible because it's not only just people that are coming in, but we have people that are administrators. We have people that are constantly watching the weather to make sure we don't have storms near the stadium. There's not any flooding issues, or we have like we had last year the snow. The snow and ice we have right up into the Arkansas LSU game. So all of that kind of affects on how to get the players there safely and everything. So from our perspective, we have to make sure that we're about as close to 100% accurate as possible, and trying to get that information out early too, because you can't wait until Thursday night and say, "Hey, this is what's going on." You got to be like a week, or even in some cases maybe a few days added to that to give those people a heads up on what's coming up and everything.
In the typical climate in the South, you're warm and humid. Through much of September. October, you kind of start to transition. Then November, you really start to transition to more of a fall type pattern. But when we're talking about high school, especially across the state, on Friday nights, you can have it early in the season because they start, a couple weeks earlier compared to college. They start mid-August versus late August. And I think this year we start more late August, but still, where you're talking about, especially when you have cold fronts coming in, because it affects different aspects. Because if you have cold fronts coming in during the game, your weather conditions change throughout the game. Like if it's warm and sunny, then all of a sudden your temperature drops by 20 or 30. Throughout the game. Well, your wind shifts. Wind shift affects different aspects. Punch. Of the kicking game, but not only but from a fan standpoint as well. It affects how you dress, how you plan accordingly. Because, in a normal year, you would expect to go, in the South especially, you would expect to go to a game in September with hot. You expect to go to a game in October where it's going to be somewhat mild. You expect to go to a game in November, especially in the Ozarks, where it's going to be cold. If you go to South Arkansas, you could have, cool, not bad. But, again, Arkansas is a transitional state.
Yeah.
So, we sit with the plains to the west, we sit with the Mississippi Delta to the east. We have the Ozarks and Washita Mountains that greatly affect our weather.
Yeah.
So the weather in Fayetteville on game day may not be the same weather that stay in Pine Bluff or say in Monticello. Even in Conway. And obviously most times our teams are not playing at the same time. A lot of times they are. Especially early in the season where you have a lot of home games, you tend to see
homecoming and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And you tend to see, like Arkansas, A-State, playing home, UC at home. Same thing goes for our traveling high school team, and they're traveling every Friday, across the state. Because I think last year I saw where CrossFit was traveling all the way to Rogers to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
And our forecasts greatly go to affect that travel as well. Because if you're talking, you don't have to talk about snowfall this, that time of year until you get to November. We have seen snow in October, but it's rare. But again, in the natural state of affairs of weather in this state, nothing comes naturally.
Yeah, and the one thing you have to worry about, especially like mid to late August and early September, especially for those high school games, you can have a lot of heat illnesses problems. They typically train them over the summer to kind of get them more adjusted to that type of an environment. But you have that problem, especially early on, because those temperatures here, especially here in Arkansas, if you've lived here long enough, we don't make that rapid transition like Oklahoma or Kansas or anywhere like that. It takes time. We don't go from 90s to 40s and overnight. It takes time to make that gradual transition from the 90s. Right. It goes from the 90s to the 80s, and then by the time you get to a point, it makes that drastic shift. Like, remember last November, really, really warm start, and all of a sudden you got that Arctic blast in, and I mean, that LSU game last year was probably one of the coldest games I've been to in quite a while.
You're talking how every year is different.
Yeah.
Because and how let's look at this fall. Because we've kind of talked about how forecasting aspect, cold fronts can affect it, heat can but on a pattern standpoint, as we go into this particular fall, because we're talking about El Nino. We're talking about, both from the high school level up through our college level, Friday and Saturday nights. And, El Nino falls can be weird. They can be extremely weird. You've had mild, El Nino falls. You've had super cold El Nino falls, very severe weather active, hyperactive falls. And then you've had drought falls.
Yeah.
It really depends, looking at what we've had this year so far. As we've transitioned from the La Nina into an El Nino season, and what we are looking at as we head into the fall.
I would honestly say it could go either direction because, like you said, El Nino falls are they're almost unpredictable at this point because you can go either direction. It just depends on how fast you're able to get rid of the heat ridge out west, how fast you're able to get a trough in across the eastern half of the country, how active your subtropical jet is. For those that are trying to figure it out, like I mentioned before, I'll have a class later on this week going over all those little details. But it just depends. Every year is different. Every year has that overall pattern that could go either way. One thing that does concern me, though, and I talked about this over the last year, is a lack of hurricanes. The lack of hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico right now is extremely warm. And this as well as I do. The Gulf of Mexico makes or breaks our weather.
Yep.
It could either make it very, very active. It can make it very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends. So I would say expect more the same like we've had in the summer. Right. Very active fall coming up.
So let's break this down. So let's go. So we know that the season for high school starts end of August.
Yes.
Okay. So let's take this month by month. Okay. August, September, October, and November.
Okay.
All right. So obviously high school's first because that's automatically, and then we'll talk about in general college, high school combined.
Okay.
So end of August. Temperatures and rainfall / severe weather, above or below average?
I'd go above temperature-wise, especially mid to late August, because it's very rare. Very, very rare to get a below average August unless you have the tropics coming in and playing, defense with that. So I definitely go above normal for temperatures. Precip and severe weather wise, iffy. We'll have to wait and see what happens. August is known to be one of your slow months, just year round. I mean, even back in 2011, where you had a record-breaking tornado outbreak back to back, August was relatively slow. So it's normal for August to be slow. So I'd go that. I think August, like I mentioned before, you just have to be very, very concerned about the heat problems.
So you think our football fans, to start the season for high school, it'd be more about the heat, and the dry weather, but basically not much to affect your overall watching ability for your games.
Definitely.
So let's transition to September.
Yeah.
Because this is when you have our colleges and our high school games. Most are at home. We're talking across state, A-State, UCA, Fayetteville. You're talking 7A all the way down to A. Friday night and Saturday. So September, what would you put in terms of temperature and precip/severe weather?
Temp-wise, I'd probably go near or even slightly below normal because with September and El Nino setups, it is such a drastic change from summer to fall. I mean, it can happen almost overnight how fast that drastic change can occur. So I'd go, especially early in the month, some of your earlier games will probably be stupid hot. But I think probably the mid to late September games will probably be more in the ones that you may have more of a transition that you have to watch out. In terms of precip, I'd probably go above normal.
Now,
I think mid to late September, you'll start having a lot of trouble with cold fronts coming in, interacting, and we just got to see how the tropics go, man. I mean, it just depends what happens with the Gulf.
Now, the question is, do you foresee a severe weather September, per se?
Late September.
Okay.
Late September. I think that may end up being a concern. It just depends on you get a cold front in, interacting. The next month, August, is really going to make or break what happens in the fall. If you don't get a single tropical system in the Gulf, by the time we get into September, by the time these games start, we're probably going to be dealing with a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And for those that are kind of wanting to tune in, like I said before, we'll kind of break that down in a fall outlook coming up with the next month or so. But I think early on, just kind of looking at things from late July, I don't like how the Gulf is right now. I don't like how warm the Gulf of Mexico is right now, and we need a couple of tropical systems to kind of break that down. Otherwise, we're talking a completely different ballgame here. So,
all right. So we have August, we have September. Let's go into the meat of the season. Now, obviously, we know the U of A is mostly on the road during this month, but we know A-State's going to be at home. We know several other teams are going to be at home throughout the month of October, and obviously high school. Because it's in Arkansas.
Yeah.
So for the majority of our football fans for the month of October, what do you think we're looking at?
A lot of people are probably going to get excited for this if you like winter. I think it's going to be a pretty drastic change to winter this year. I think it's going to be a rather fast change into it because the issue going into El Nino patterns is you start talking about ridging going into Alaska, start going into Western Canada, and you start bringing in those cold fronts out of Canada. So I don't think it's going to be like anything like what we saw last year, where in November we had an Arctic blast coming in and all that. But I do think it's not going to be like, stupid hot. I think we'll have temperatures probably in 40s, 50s for highs, probably talking about overnight lows in the 30s and everything like that. Precip-wise, I'd probably go near normal, honestly.
So we'll be talking hoodie weather for football.
Likely so.
In October this year versus normally we're doing it toward Thanksgiving.
Yeah, likely so.
Severe weather-wise, what do you think for October? Do you think we're going to be more on the below average?
I think probably earlier on you have to watch out for it. But I think once we start, and this is going to obviously depend on if you get enough cold fronts into the Gulf of Mexico and again, I got a lot of stuff to kind of come together in order for you to get a below.
And obviously, trying to pinpoint a severe weather event on a Friday and Saturday
is going to be
it's hard to do.
Yeah,
but
which is surprising because in fall, typically you have those weekend events. They're classic for those Saturday and that Friday Saturday time frame. So, So he's going high school, August above average, below average. Yeah.
September we're going kind of near average to above average.
Yeah.
October, we're below average and near average.
Yeah.
So now, November. November is notorious in Arkansas for crazy weather.
Yeah.
From snow to ice to rain to severe weather to cold blast to heat.
That is good. November.
If you were just to put a early guess, again, it is July 23rd.
Yeah.
But it makes me happy talking about it. So
yeah. So going into November, man, some people they're gonna listen to this. They're gonna be like, "Oh, this guy over here saying this." So November, I think the below normal trend will likely continue into November. El Nino winters, and this is subject to change. Not every single El Nino winters is going to be different. I mean, you're still talking about fall at this point, but you're making that transition. But they're also known for early and often.
Yep,
they're known for that, and then you get into that later part, and you start making that warm transition. So, I think November will be pretty cold. I think you will have a couple of events that you may have to watch, especially for our folks up there in the U of A. That Mississippi State game, that's going to be that's in October, but in November you start talking about, I do believe, like your Missouri game, your FIU, which I think that's Florida University, Auburn. I think by the end we may have a couple of issues up there in Northwest Arkansas, maybe some winter weather. By then.
You heard it here. I didn't say it. He said it, not me.
You may have some winter weather issues up there by then. So we'll see. This is highly going to depend on how cool you can get your Gulf of Mexico.
Then ask you this. Yeah. So you're saying below average temperatures?
Yeah, below average temperatures.
Okay. Rainfall?
Rainfall, I'd go above.
Okay. I'd go severe above. Weather, you think below?
Man, I'd go near normal just to be safe.
Well, then since you've already said it, winter weather, we're going to add a little aspect to it.
Near normal for winter weather. Near normal.
So I'm just going to throw this out there real quick. Then we're going to have a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
With this towards the end of this podcast. But so high school championship games are the first 2 weekends in December.
Yeah.
Again, December you start even crazier with it than November, even crazier with it than October.
Yeah.
The build up towards the end. Again, we start with high school. We have the meet, then we go back to high school at the end.
Yeah.
So what do you think for the championship games?
Cold
and wet, cold and above average potential, below average.
You get in December, you can talk about a whole bunch of wild possibilities. I think you're going to be cold, probably near normal precip. It would not shock me, and I've seen this with El Nino setups. It would not shock me by the early part of December. We're talking about a winter storm.
Yep.
It would not shock me. That's how El Nino fall and work. You start introducing a lot of cold air coming out of Canada. You get a very active pattern. I mean, it could go either direction, but it wouldn't shock me. We're in December. We have these championship games.
You have to have to reschedule because of weather.
Yeah, and we're having to reschedule because of winter weather. It wouldn't shock me.
And again, that shows you right there that Arkansas weather is never a natural state of affairs.
Yeah, it's
so
far from
just quick guess out of the blue. Christmas. Just throw it out there in July. Just without thinking about it. Just throw it out there. He's not going to do it.
I do it. I've got somebody that you'll be dealing with winter weather by then. I think your 2012 Christmas event, that streak that we've gone on, I think that may come to an end this year.
In 13 years. So
I think that comes to an end this year. That's my early guess. I think that comes to an end this year.
We are talking predictions. Okay? So I'm going to do hold on. So what I'm going to do, okay? All right, so I'm gonna have fun with this. Okay.
He's just grilling me over here, folks.
No. We're talking predictions. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're gonna get to Arkansas last.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say let's make.
So first, I want you to pick a high school 7A state champion.
I'd go Benton. Honestly,
that's 6A.
That's 6A. Excuse me. Eldo is 6A. So 7A would be. For those that don't want, I keep up with college more than I do with high school. But I've heard from, I think Bryant had a really good season. You can argue Cabot as well. I could see Bryant in the championship game this year. Once again, I could see that happening. You always have to keep an eye on those wild cards as well. You have to. I could see possibly maybe Central. I don't know yet. Depends on the season that goes, but I can definitely see Brian. I can see it. So
now for me, I'm going Conway.
You're going Conway
because Brian's old coach is at Conway now.
Okay. He like I said,
now
college. I'm all for it.
Choose a 6A real quick.
Ooh, 6A.
This is where you come in because you're from El Dorado.
Yeah, Eldo. I don't see him making it this year. I be the bearer of bad news. I don't see Eldo making it. If I got to go with Zany, Lake Hamilton and Greenwood kind of stand out. I mean, you could say, last year you had Little Rock Christian Academy kind of going with it and everything, but you also had Pulaski, but I don't know this year. We'll have to see.
I'm going Pulaski.
You're going Pulaski. I know it's a whole bias thing, but I can see Greenwood coming in this year.
So I'm gonna have fun with this now. So
yeah,
again, those are just out of the wing, off the wing, our upper echelon. We could have a whole other podcast on just picks, but we're not talking about that. So, but this is our picks for the fall. So let's have fun with this, okay? I'm gonna start in South Arkansas and work north. We know nothing about.
Keep in mind your experience with high school football.
No. I'm talking about college now.
Oh, college.
All right, so we're gonna start with UAM. Over or under 6 wins.
UAM. Ooh. Boy. I would probably go. It just depends. Oh, that depends so much.
I'm making a weatherman think about sports.
Yeah. Give me a favor, remind me real quick. I think it was what UAM is where that is in.
It's 2A.
2A.
Monticello. It's
under. All
right.
I just had to be reminded where that was. I was like, that's under.
All right. So I'm going under as well.
Okay.
So Southern Arkansas University. You know where that is?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Boy. Over. I'd go over for that one.
Over 6.
I'd go over.
Okay.
I'd go over for that one.
I'm going under as well.
I'd go over for that one.
Okay.
I can see them having a surprise year.
All right. So we're going to keep doing this because we're going to make sure Richard keeps track of this so we see where we're at come December 1st. So now we're going to talk UAPB.
Woo!
Remember, I'm working up the state here.
Under
6 wins.
Under.
Really? I'm going under as well.
I'd go under. No disrespect to those out there in UAPB. No,
they are in a rebuilding year.
They are in a rebuilding year. My expectations for them is low.
Yep.
No, there's no way.
Okay.
If you go above 6, that is a miracle year.
Let's go to down the road to Arkadelphia.
Okay.
We're talking Washita Baptist and Henderson State University.
Over.
All right, which one? OBU? Over?
I'd go OB. Yeah.
Okay.
Over.
Remember, they made the playoffs last year.
They made playoffs last year. Yeah.
All right. Henderson.
Whew, that's a little difficult. I think they may take a little backseat this year. I'd go under. I may take a little bit of a backseat this year.
So, okay, I think Washita over.
Yeah.
Henderson over.
I could see them going over too, but
now.
Yeah.
The Battle of the Ravine in November. Washita versus Henderson. Who would you pick?
Oh.
I threw a wild one to him there.
Washita. I'd go Washita with that one. I think they
Washita wins 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah,
so Washita.
I go Washita with that one.
All right. So let's go further up the state.
Okay.
UCA.
Over.
Our Bears.
Over.
The Bears.
Over this year.
We're going to go over.
Over.
Okay. I'm going to go under 6 wins.
I like their program this year.
I'm going to go under 6 wins.
I'd go over.
This year. So let me go further up the state. Let's transition up 167. No, hold on. Let's go by 40 real. Let's go down I-40. Arkansas Tech.
Under.
Under 6.
Under.
Okay.
I'd go under for them.
I'm going under as well.
Yeah, I'd go under.
Now, let's go east down 64.
Okay.
To Searcy. And that's going to be Hendricks.
Ooh, that's a
curveball to you.
That's a curveball right there. It could go either direction with their program they've got. My money's on over this year. I'd go over.
Okay.
I'd go over. It's gonna be barely, but I think they managed to sneak it over this year.
All right, I'm going to go under.
Okay.
6 wins.
Yeah.
Now we come to the meat.
Okay.
You have D1. You have Jonesboro on one side of the state, Fayetteville on the other. We're going to project over and under, final record, and bowl game.
Okay.
And a bowl game.
Okay.
Let's start with A-State.
Start with A-State. I was going to say, leave
Remember, Razorbacks for last.
Yeah, Razorbacks for last. A-State, keep in mind that this, too, Butch Jones is on a hot seat this year.
No, not necessarily. He's been a complete rebuild.
Yeah. I've seen a few here and there.
All new recruits have come in. He's rebuilt. Transfer portal.
Okay. Oh, man. Because the problem is, if he goes under this year, he's going to have some problems. So I think with the motivation he'll have, and it's going to be somebody out there is going to be laughing at me for me going with this.
Over and under 6 wins to start.
I'd go barely. Man, because you got a bunch of new recruits up there. And man. The problem
when you stump a weatherman, this is fun.
The problem is with new recruits is most of them are probably, you have some experienced ones, but most of them are not like seasoned veterans,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And you have 2 former Power 5 quarterbacks at A-State now.
Okay. That further supports my decision. I think they go over this year. Okay. I don't think it's going to be an under for folks that are listening. I do not think A-State's going to go undefeated. There's no way.
They play Oklahoma opening day.
Yeah, they play Oklahoma OU first day. That's going to be a.
Give me a record out of 12 games.
Oh,
6-6. You said over, so we're talking at least 7-5.
Yeah, I'd go 7-5, just enough to keep Coach Jones there.
Do they make a bowl? So 7-5. So that means you say yes, they make a bowl game.
They make a bowl game this year. I think they do it.
Looking at their schedule, looking at everything they have this season.
Okay.
All right. Now looking at the past, present, and you know what Butch Jones has done with teams with less.
Yeah.
I would go at you at 7-5. I do think they make a bowl game.
Yeah.
They don't win Sun Belt.
No.
But
no way.
They do make a bowl game.
No way.
Now, a couple of bounces roll their way, then, yeah, we could be talking about 8-4, 9-3, but they are in a full rebuild.
Yeah. No. There's no – even if they even attempted to make it to the Sun Bowl – not Sun Bowl. Sun Bowl. The Sun Belt. Sorry, I got the bowl and belt kind of mixed up. Even if they did attempt to do that, man, I don't think they wouldn't even win it because they're in a rebuild this year, and next year, maybe another year after that, maybe.
I'd like to 25. They play Arkansas.
Yeah. Oh, no, they're
yeah, exactly.
No way, no competition there, sir.
All right, so now that we've gone through every college team in the state, the meat. The butter of this state.
This is going to be the grill right here.
All
right. A lot of people are going to be tuning in for this particular part.
Last but not least, I'm going to give you Arkansas.
Okay.
Over and under 6 wins.
Can I break down the games?
No.
I can't break down games.
No, we're not breaking down the games.
Okay.
Sir, we're not breaking down the games. We're here for 3 hours.
Man. Okay. All right. Looking at the schedule. Looking at their schedule, there's a lot of – you got to remember this too. Last year, they were 9 points away from a potential 10-2 season. A 10-2 season. That says a lot. That says a lot. I mean, that's the number one thing. That's a lot.
Okay.
And, 10-2 puts you, I think, what was it? Third? Is it third in the West, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, third in the West. So this year, I think Sam with the recruits he's got, the roster he's got to kind of rebuild from getting a whole brand new defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator. My money, and this is going to sound very, 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 very optimistic here. And this is you're keeping KJ healthy, you're keeping Rocket healthy, you're keeping most of your staff healthy with the brand new the
coordinators and
coordinators, the nutrition. Special they got there now and everything. My money is definitely over.
Okay.
Definitely over. I think this year you make a run for 10-2. This year. I think I put you third in the West this year.
Are you sure the tornado didn't affect your head?
No. I think you go 10-2 this year. I think you be third in the West this year. Anything less at the bare minimum, I do at least see you getting over 6. I like the I like the roster we have going into 2023 this year, and
Right.
I know Sam. He's not going to make the same mistakes he did last
So
year.
you say 10-2.
Yeah, I go 10-2.
All right, so that means they make a bowl game.
Yeah.
Now the question is, do they make a New Year's Six bowl at 10-2?
My money's going to be yeah. I think KJ this year being number 1 in the country.
I think the Tornado.
No, hear me out on this. I think with it being his last year, he's going to have more motivation to get the job done this year. He's not going to be wanting to make the same mistakes he did last year. I think our O-line, I know there's a lot of questions with our O-line being able to protect him just enough for him to be able to make those RPOs, which is a run play option, run pass option, excuse me. Yep. So I think it will be 10-2, and I think we make New Year's Six bowl this year, just to kind of a write off
without
into the sunset.
Without thinking about it. Pick an upset that we're not supposed to win. That we're going to win.
Alabama.
Y'all, a tornado affected his head. I'm sorry.
Alabama.
Don't mind him. He's going nuts.
Alabama.
We're in Tuscaloosa.
Alabama. I don't care if we're in Tuscaloosa. Alabama. Okay. My money in the game that we're not supposed to win. My money and this is, and I'm not saying this is going to be like we're going to go in there and blow them out 50-0 and everything. I think it's going to be, because look what happened last year. Take what happened last year. You had Bryce Young. I mean, stellar quarterback in Bryce Young. And we were neck and neck for that game, for most of that game. So that's what I'm thinking this year. I think this year, now I still have us taking a loss to Alabama this year. I don't think we're that good just yet, but however.
So you said 10-2.
Yeah,
but 10-2. Take a loss to Alabama. But
yeah, you're taking a loss to Alabama. You're talking a loss to Alabama and LSU.
Okay, but you said if you had to pick an upset, it would be Alabama.
It'd be Alabama,
gotcha.
and that'll put you at 11-1.
Right. So,
which I almost went there, folks, but I'm not going there yet. I think we still take a loss to Alabama.
So now Arkansas had a handful of 10-win seasons.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Houston.
Right. So last time we had 10-win season was Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going over 6 wins.
Okay.
That's a given. Okay. Now I'm going 9-3.
Okay.
Because Arkansas always trips up. We are on the road to LSU. We're on the road to Alabama. We're on the road to Gainesville. We've never won at Gainesville. We've rarely won in Tuscaloosa. LSU.
Florida's not that good.
I don't care. Somehow we never win a Gainesville. Now,
Florida is not that good, sir.
I'm going 9-3.
Okay.
We beat Florida this year, though.
Okay.
All right.
9-3 season. That's better. That's better than 6 last year.
Arkansas trips up somewhere throughout the season. We always do, and it always happens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, I think you will trip up somewhere in that 4-game stretch between LSU and Alabama.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, A&M. So 9-3, right? Okay.
Put you in a decent bowl game.
That being said, 9-3 doesn't put you in your 6th bowl.
Yeah.
But it puts you in an upper echelon bowl.
Yeah.
Now,
I'd take that.
My upset pick of the season, which would transition us to 10-2. Baton Rouge, LSU, which we're going to September 23rd.
Wow, you have us. Oh, you've got KJ over Jalen.
We are going to ruin LSU's home opener this season.
Huh.
And
okay.
If we do that, 10-2, New Year's 6th.
Okay.
You heard it right here, folks. He picked Alabama as the upset. I picked LSU. So, your 2 favorite weather guys on AWW, we're going to see. Rich is going to take this down. He's going to hate us for this, but he's going to take it down and figure out which one's right at the end of the season. And if neither one of us are right, we'll stick to weather, we promise.
Yeah, we'll stick to weather.
Until next season, then we get to do it again. But
next season, you're talking Texas and Oklahoma.
Yes, and I can't wait for that. But, again, obviously – one thing we do want to mention is that the reason why we're doing our picks now is because, season 2 is going to come out in October. We're going to take a couple months break, from our podcast, but we definitely want to do a end of the summer type podcast, talk about football season and stuff like that. So season 2 is going to come out sometime probably around the 1st or 2nd weekend in October.
That's going to be perfect. We'll be able to talk about.
We'll be able to talk about how our picks are looking so far.
Yeah.
And Rich is going to love us for this one too because he's going to be keeping track of that. Now, again, obviously, none of this would be possible, without our sponsors at Local Roofing and Construction, Crown Wild Ranch, Natural State Wireless, and then of course the B2B of Arkansas.
Definitely, Natural State Wireless is actually going to come in big clutch when we do those tailgates.
Yes,
as well, especially setting up and everything, and also. Kind of want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. That's Misty Gold, that's Clay Hobbs, Gina James, also Shauna Milligan, Lisa Snow, and also the rest of our incredible Patreon supporters. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys, so we really do appreciate you guys for being here. And also, like I said, stay with us. We're going to have a lot of new stuff coming our way as we get later into 2023 and 2024 here. So one thing I want to cap off with, though, is that what would happen? Hang me out on this. What would happen? We get to December. We're talking about like a 12-0 Arkansas because I've seen some of those people out there.
Hey, do you hear that train?
Yeah.
Okay, the tornado happened in March, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure it didn't affect your head. Now, again.
Oh man,
not gonna happen.
No, that ain't gonna happen. But folks. No way.
Again,
we'll trip up at some point to prevent that from happening.
All right, if we come back to this podcast in December and we're unbeaten,
we're
gonna host a live stream on the page with the SC Championship game.
Yeah,
which also happens to be my anniversary weekend.
Yeah,
Erica's
gonna.
Yeah, we'll deal with it as we get there.
We'll deal with that when we get there, folks. So.
Again, we thank y'all, for tuning in, trusting us for your weather source, trusting us for your chasing source, trusting us just in general for everything Arkansas weather. Again, we'll be back with the podcast for season 2 in the fall, and that's when we're just gonna have a lot of fun with it. We hope to have some guests coming in then. We get to talk about. We're gonna be talking about winter season. We're gonna be talking about Christmas. We're gonna be talking about
don't get me started with Christmas.
Winter stuff, and it's gonna be fun. We have a lot of things coming up, like the camera. It's gonna be fun and exciting, and we can't wait to share it with y'all. But thank you for trusting us. We have a Patreon shout out as well.
Yeah, already got it.
So we've done. Thank y'all so much, and we will see you back here in October when hopefully a unbeaten Arkansas, after beating the crap out of LSU and Baton Rouge.
You guys heard that first year. You guys heard that first year. So that's all we got for you guys. Y'all take care. And like I said before, we'll be back in the fall, and we'll continue to keep you guys updated right here.
Your source for all things Arkansas. Whoop it!